Welcome back, Virgo. We are here to pull cards for you for a deep dive. This, I am guessing, is going to be about a 30-day time frame or a 28-day time frame that we're looking at here. Originally, I thought when I designed this type of reading that we were going to look at 5 topics that would be important over 28 to 30 days. However, Spirit seems to have other ideas about what this reading should be. So this may be one where we just kind of look at the same thing from different perspectives, or maybe how it evolves throughout the next 28 to 30 days. So I am going to pull 5 cards that are what I'm calling topic cards out of the Lenormand to kind of set the topic that we're going to be talking about as we go into this deep dive. And then we're going to put on we're going to use my gilded tarot for clarifying what about that topic are we going to be talking about. We're going to use a regular straight Rider-Waite for clarification or for advice around that situation. So let's get started with pulling the first topic card. First topic, ooh, the whip. Now that's interesting. That could be something that's happening repetitively. Could be sharp words, could be an argument or debate. Could be a few other things depending what cards would fall around it. But since I'm just doing one for the topic, we'll see what comes up for the tarot talking about the whip. Okay, now let's move that off to the side. Our second topic card, ooh, the anchor. So the anchor has to do with security and stability. Many times it has to do with work or job, employment, the business that we have. Many times it has to do with that. So that's going to be interesting. Let's see what we have for our third topic card. What comes up for Virgos. Now we have the coffin showing up here. Excuse me. There we go. And the coffin showing up doesn't talk about anybody dying. So y'all hold on to your pantaloons here. Everything's fine. It can talk about something that needs to be healed or something that is not 100% up to snuff. Doesn't even have to be a person's body, although it can. It can be a financial situation, or it can be maybe the house needs some repairs or the car or something like that. So this is not nearly as bad as it looks. I think it's a terrible choice for a card. But hey, it's kind of like the death card in tarot. It scares the holy crud out of people the first time they see it, but it's really not that big of a deal at all. Now let's look at our fourth topic card is the fish. Now the fish could be one of two things. The fish can talk about, this can talk about deep feelings, or it can talk about finances, money, abundance. With that anchor card being a part of our spread here, this makes me wonder if this isn't talking about abundance or maybe lack thereof. We'll see what happens when we've got the tarot cards coming up. Let's see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Spirit could decide to turn the tide on me and make those 5 completely different topics this time like I originally had planned. I've already done 5 videos with this spread. We'll see. So far they've pretty much been deep dives. And we've got the female, we've got the woman showing up as our last topic. Okay, we can quit shuffling those cards. Let's move into our explanatory deck. So here's what I'm going to tell you guys, those of you who know how to read the Lenormand. You could definitely get a reading from these 5 cards if you wanted to. That would be a possibility, and maybe you could get that reading and it might apply to your life. I can say so far in these videos, I haven't seen that these make a nice continuous reading. If you read them, like they don't really go with anything that actually shows up whenever we start expanding. So I'm not sure that I would recommend that, although you can try it. You can experiment with it, see how it works for you. Let's see. If we were going to do that, I would say that you have some kind of repetitive work where you do the same thing over and over again. And the pay at that work is not going that well. And this would be if you're a female, this would talk about your position or work. If you're not a female, this would be somebody of influence in your life. So maybe like an 8th house type partner, 7th house type partner. And like I said, I don't really hold a lot of stock in that. So what we're going to do is we are going to see what actually comes up when we start to expand our first topic card. So our first topic card is the whip. If you remember what I said, this is a conversation or something that is done really repetitively, something that is done repetitively enough to be tedious and boring, even if it's not necessarily difficult. Let's see what the tarot has to say as far as explanation about the whip for my Virgos. What do we have? So we've got, looking at us, we have basically the Page of Coins in reverse. We've got the Two of Wands, and we have the Five of Swords in reverse. So I'm going to say that this for me is going to be talk about doing something repetitively or maybe even having the same conversation over and over again. The conversation is about this idea that there's something going on with the money. This is bad news about money or about material goods. This could be that you're not being paid well enough, although I do have another card that would probably show that. So this could be that you're doing something over and over. Maybe you're going to work over and over and over, and there's always something going on. Maybe the water heater goes out one week and the car needs new tires the next week or something like that. But there's something that is repetitive bad news about money or about material goods. You have a choice here, basically, and that choice is coming from this idea that you are accepting that this is kind of a cycle. This is the case. It keeps happening. It's a repetitive thing that you keep getting news about money or material goods that you don't like, and your choice comes up from this idea of accepting that that's kind of what's going on. So it looks like you're accepting that this is how things are working, at least how things are working for you, if not for everybody else. And when we accept something like that and we don't visualize what we really want, that can lead us to a cycle of always having just maybe just enough to cover things coming up, but not enough to do any extras or fluff, and maybe not even that much. So let's look at your best advice or heads up around this situation. What is your best advice or heads up around this situation? Because we don't like the way things are, for sure. So with the moon, we have some kind of illusions. There's some kind of truth that is really just out of reach for us. And it also talks about the subconscious. And for me, I think what we have going on here is we've got some subconscious leanings that are tripping us up here whenever it comes to money and abundance and having enough and, being in survival mode or being in thrive mode. I think I'm looking, at some kind of subconscious leanings here. With the Death card, this really says that with you accepting this, you're not making any changes because that Death card is in reverse. It basically says there are some changes that I need to make, but I'm digging my heels and I don't want to make those changes because I'm afraid of what the outcome will be. So we see you digging in with those changes. Well, why? With the Knight of Cups, because that's what feels comfortable to you. So I'm not sure if that's so much advice or if it's heads up. So it's a really good thing, Virgos, to be valuing and assessing what are your subconscious leanings, especially when it comes to money and abundance, and whether you're on survival mode or thriving. I'm going to tell you that right now is one of the more important times for us to really be assessing what are our subconscious leanings around money and abundance. Because if we listen to what is going on in the world around us, all we see is a bunch of chaos. It's really good for us to set our own ideas about money and abundance so that we are not buying into the chaos that's around us and moving forward. We want to move forward productively. And yeah, so this is really telling me your subconscious leanings are kicking in. Nothing's changing because it feels very comfortable. All right. So you have this cycle of there's always something that is taking away any money that I think I'm going to put aside for the future. There's always some kind of news that comes up that takes it away. Well, part of that is that mindset that you have from subconscious leanings, what you were taught before you were old enough to know better. So it's time to really figure out what those are and reprogram those. Let's look at our next topic. Our next topic is security and stability with that anchor coming in there. Let's see how Spirit wants to expand on that. Tell me about this anchor. And we can already see from this so far that we definitely have a topic moving forward. Stability and security. And I can tell that, this is for Virgos who are kind of just hanging in there, but not getting where they want to go with their stability and security right now. Okay? Not doing bad, but not doing what you want to do either. And you may be getting kind of frustrated. Let's see. What does Spirit want to say about stability and security for Virgos? Look at you. You're very good at what you do. 6 of Wands. Everybody appreciates you with your stability and security. Like if anybody would be able to crack the stability and security code, that's you. You're very good at creating stability and security. You've got the 2 of Coins in reverse. This basically says something's fallen through the cracks right now, though. There may be something where your budget isn't quite balancing, or it may be maybe that your budget is balanced, but there's something going on where you're not getting the returns that you should be getting. You're not getting your return on, what is that? The ROI, return on investment that you thought you should. Something's fallen through the cracks here. And we've got the Justice card. The Justice card talks about some kind of decision being made, and a decision being made in a fair way. Considering that we're talking about stability and security, and we're talking about the resources, this could be the idea of filing for bankruptcy, especially if we see here, like you're pretty good at handling your money. If something's going on, this could be something that's out of your control where things are falling through the cracks. And this could be filing for bankruptcy, or this could be maybe not even filing for bankruptcy, but this could be making agreements with people about outdated loans, or not in good standing loans or something like that. But when we have justice, this is some kind of fair decision that's being made. Many times it has legal implications. So there could be a contract signing involved here. And there's something falling through the cracks here. So that's what tells me that this would be some kind of negotiations and agreements around something that's been falling through the cracks, even though you're normally pretty good about stability and security, Virgos. All right, now let's look at your best advice or heads up around this situation. Okay, we've got our 7 of Cups in reverse. We've got our Ace of Wands in reverse. And we have our Page of Swords in reverse. Interesting. Interesting cards. Now, the Seven of Cups for me, when it comes up in reverse, it says that we've been thinking about something that we can do to improve our lives, and now we're done thinking. We're done assessing the opportunities. Now what we're ready for is we're ready to really choose one and focus. So this talks about focusing on something you can do to improve your situation. Ace of Wands is interesting because it talks about passing along inspiration to somebody else. So this could be that you're deciding, you know what, I could do some consulting, or I could do some teaching, or I could do some mentoring, something like that. You may be focusing on something like that. And the Page of Swords in reverse talks about digging in for information, specifically digging into some kind of secrets of the universe information. So this would talk about, let's look at energetically what is going to make the cash flow. What is going to help with that energetically? So it's interesting how this comes up, because this doesn't say don't do this or do this, whatever this legal action is, or this action that has legal connotations, I should say. But it does give the advice to kind of focus in a different way. So focusing specifically on inspiring other people in your sphere of influence, and learning information about how to work things out energetically is that bit of advice. I want to see if this means that, and maybe this is different. Oh, that's why it's not coming up. This is going to be different for different ones of you. For some of you, it'll be good to move forward with this legal action, or this action with legal consequences. For others of you, not so much, because you'll be able to dig in and actually fix things energetically without having to go that route. It's not going to be the same for all of you, I don't think. All right. Let's see what our next topic has to tell us. Boo-ba-da-doo. Okay, we're going to stick this off to the side here. Okay, next thing that we're looking at is right here. Well, we already kind of know what needs to be healed, don't we? This is some kind of situation with finances or with resources that's kind of limping along. Maybe it's on crutches. What would you like to say about the coffin? What would you like to tell me, Virgos, about this coffin card, please? Boopity-doo-doo, boopity-doo-doo, boopity-doo-doo-doo-doo. All right, let's take a peek. Coffin card. Seven of Cups, right side up. Look at that. We just had it in reverse in the other deck. Lovers in reverse. Look at that. Okay. And Two of Swords in reverse. Okay, so what's going on here? This is really interesting, because the Seven of Cups talks about being surrounded by options, having lots of options around you, options to improve your life. The Lovers basically says, I can't really decide, and we've got an echo right here with that Two of Swords in reverse. I think you're having a hard time trying to decide, like, what direction to go with all these options. And there's enough of them that you're distracted enough that you're not able to put full effort into one particular direction. And so you're kind of, this to me says you're kind of flailing around. You're looking at this direction, this direction, this direction. Some of you, for some of you, this is going to be a whole new topic. This is going to be about the idea of, you know, maybe I have a lot of people around me that I can choose from, but I really don't want to partner up with any of these people, any of these options in front of me. or I'm really indecisive about if I want to partner up at all. And if I do want to partner up, who do I want to partner up with? I'm really indecisive about that as well. So that could be a whole different topic that we have playing out here. And this would say my love life is kind of on life support because even though I've got all these options around me, I don't know that I necessarily want to partner up with any of them. I don't know if I want to partner up at all. Okay. Now, if it's not your love life, if we're actually continuing on with the stability, this says got lots of options around me, and you could be doing a lot of things. You could be wearing multiple hats, doing a lot of your own things on the side, like getting little gigs here and there. Doing things as an independent contractor. Maybe you're doing a bunch of things as an independent contractor, and that keeps you from really committing to any one thing. And that keeps you really indecisive about what's coming next or what you want to, what should be your next step as far as financially. Well, we already saw earlier, like if this is a financial thing, you really want to focus. I can't remember what we're focusing on. You guys will have to look back at that. But anyway, let's look at your best advice or heads up once we get to this point in our 28-day period. And like I said, for some of you, this is going to be about choosing a person, choosing a partner. Do I even want a partner? For others of you, this is going to be about, do I really want to work for somebody? I don't know. I've got a bunch of my own independent things going. Isn't that good enough? All right, let's see. What's best advice or heads up around this situation? So we have the Queen of Pentacles showing up here. Now this tells me you're pretty well grounded. You're pretty aware of your situation and you're feeling pretty abundant because you do have lots of options around you. You should be feeling pretty abundant with all these options, whether it's options of romantic partners or whether it's options of how you can create an income. Either way, you should be feeling pretty abundant with all these options. That would make sense. Now we have our Hermit card in reverse, which basically says that you're taking some time to think about things by yourself without having input from other people and figure out what are your priorities? Where do you want to go from here? Okay. And with the Hermit is in reverse, this talks about coming out and moving forward with whatever you have decided are your new priorities. Okay. So that's what we see here. And this has to do with the idea of, should I be partnered up or not? Should I be an employer or an employee? Should I actually pick a romantic partner? And then we have the Nine of Cups in reverse, which is interesting to me because it says to me that you're not feeling satisfied with the options that are in front of you once you come back out into the world and you're interacting with the world after you've figured out your priorities. This says, I'm not feeling satisfied with what I'm doing right now. I'm not feeling satisfied with what's in front of me. And I'm really anxious to offer more or to do better, to find somebody more appropriate if this is about romantic partners or any other kind of partnership, or to, offer more to the world, offer more of your own genuine authenticity to the world. Either way, we see you kind of antsy to step it up. And this may be happening for a lot of you in both of those areas. That may be why I'm not being given an indication which way to read this. Because normally with me, when I get a tie, that means some people, at least, if not all of you, are really struggling with this on both sides of the coin, both in the employment world and in the relationship world. Could be. Just take it how it applies, because it is a general reading. It is a general reading, so take it how it applies. All right, so boopity-doo-doo-doo-doo. Let's move on to our next topic. Boopity-doo, boopity-doo. Okay, next topic is either going to be deep feelings or abundance. Now, this is another one that can go to either of what we were just talking about before. We may get a double meaning off of this too. Let's see what shows up. Let's see what shows up. Let's see what shows up. Ba-ba-da-da-da. Tell us about the fishies for my Virgos, please. What would you like to show them as a way of explaining what you're trying to talk to them about when it comes to the fishies? Fishy wishies. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've got another double meaning. I think we've got this going on twice here. Because not only is the fish, can this be about money or about deep feelings or abundance or deep feelings? This Nine of Pentacles also can be about money, obviously. It also has to do with the idea of missing a person as well. So once again, we still could be talking about relationships, or we could be talking about money, or we could be talking about both. For most of you, we're probably talking about both. Okay? So we've got this idea of abundance or of deep feelings. Nine of Pentacles in reverse says, I don't have enough abundance on my own. It also says, I'm missing a person. Okay, so with the feelings, we may be missing somebody pretty strongly because the fish is either a lot of money or a lot of feelings. So if you're missing somebody, you're missing them pretty strongly. And if you're short money, you know, this is concerning. We have the Star card coming up in reverse, which basically says that you're not feeling very hopeful about the situation right now. And what is that creating? Well, that's creating a situation where you're manifesting exactly the opposite of what you want. Now, why are you manifesting exactly the opposite of what you want? I'm going to tell you because you have free will. And so you can change this situation up if you know what's going on here and you know how to change this energy. So what we see here is that you're focusing on what you're afraid of. You're focusing on those fears. You're focusing on what makes you feel anxious, whether it's around money or around a person or both. We see you not feeling very hopeful and focusing. Look, she's looking at the Star card that's in reverse, focusing on those feelings that aren't very hopeful, focusing on those worries, focusing on those fears. Well, when you focus on that, you draw more worry, more fear to you more quickly. So how do you not do that? Well, first of all, you don't fight those thoughts, because if you fight those thoughts, you add energy to them. Okay? So instead, what you're going to do is you are going to acknowledge those thoughts. And then once you've acknowledged those thoughts, you say, but what if? So, well, yeah, maybe, blah, blah, blah. But what if? But what if is your magic phrase right there. But what if it turns out amazingly well after all? So you want to turn around this manifestation, and you would be surprised. You don't really have to believe the but what if is even happening. You just have to put it out there that maybe it's a remote, distant possibility. You know, nothing is impossible. We don't have to say, yes, that's definitely going to happen, but we can say, but what if it did work out like that? We can leave that door open for that possibility. You would be amazed how fast that can start to show you some results. So we definitely want to turn around that Empress in reverse energy, that Star in reverse energy, that Nine of Pentacles in reverse energy. We do that by focusing on things in a positive way, focusing on how we want things to really work out and how much fun that would be and how great that would be. All right. But let's look at what the cards are going to put down here as far as best advice for you in this situation. Boop-a-dee-doo-doo. Boop-a-dee-doo. Oh, that's funny. I mean, this is just using different words to say kind of what I just said. First of all, this is a lifestyle change with that Six of Swords in reverse. We've got the Six of Wands right side up, and we have the Nine of Swords in reverse. So Nine of Swords in reverse says relax, chill out. Chill out. As we used to say in the 80s in high school, take a chill pill. All right? Don't really take pills. Just chill out. You can meditate or breathe to do that. Let's see. So, lifestyle change. You have to actually really make a conscious effort to change the way that you're thinking. That goes back to this first card with the subconscious leanings that were really tripping you up. This is a lifestyle change to reprogram that mind and change the way you're thinking. Six of Wands says start focusing on the victory. Start focusing on how things are good. Start imagining people appreciating you for the good that you've done. And relax. Let go of it. Don't try to control it. Just relax and let go of the situation, other than doing the energetic work of changing your way of thinking and starting to imagine people congratulating you on whatever it is that you actually want to accomplish. And then chill out. Let things play out organically after you've done that. After you've done that. Okay? That doesn't say chill out and do nothing. You have to rewire those neural pathways. All right, final topic. Female. Here we have a female. Okay. What's our first deck want to tell us about this female? Boopity doo. And here's what I will tell you about the Lenormand. The Lenormand are different than the tarot. So when the tarot comes up with a court card and it's a male or a female, that doesn't mean all that much. In the Lenormand, if we have a female show up, this is going to be somebody who considers himself a female. Full stop. There's not a lot of leniency in the Lenormand on that. Okay? Now, can this be a trans person that dresses like a female and acts like a female? Yes, because they identify as a female. All right? So this is going to be somebody who identifies as a female. They're either cis female or else they identify that way now. Doesn't really matter. All right, so this can be you. This can be yourself if you're female. Otherwise, this can be somebody in your sphere of influence. If you're not female, even if you are female, it could be somebody else in your sphere of influence. All right, Virgos. What about this female? Okay. You kind of feel like you have no choice but to fight for your future. Right? You feel like you have no choice but to fight for your future. Whether that's financial or whether that's emotional, none of these cards are telling me. So maybe that's both once again. Maybe it's something completely different. But the Two of Wands basically says, I have choices, but I don't feel like I have choices because certain people expect certain things from me. So I feel like my back's against the wall and I have to go the way people are expecting me to go. And the way people are expecting me to go is they're expecting me to fight for some kind of long-term plans. They're expecting me to fight for my future. I don't have a choice. You feel like you don't have a choice but to fight for your future. Let's see what your best advice or heads up is. Boopity doo doo, boopity doo doo, boopity doo 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 doo. Okay, Hermit card says this thing where you know where there's a decision, but you don't feel like you have a decision. The Hermit card in reverse is basically saying that their advice, Spirit's advice for you is to take some time to think things over on your own without outside influence from other people, and then come out and interact with the world after you've figured out where you go from here. Okay? Six of Pentacles talks about paying something off or paying something back when it comes up in reverse. Okay? So once you come out of your thought processes, there's going to be something that you're going to want to be paying off or paying back. All right? And the Knight of Wands showing up in reverse was really interesting to come up as advice. Hmm. I think this is telling me that, I don't think this is telling me. I know what this is telling me. The Knight of Wands is saying that your future, which we saw that you needed to fight for, well, part of that fighting for it is by paying something off, actually makes your future better. But also, what I'm hearing with this Three of Wands coming up with the Knight of Wands in reverse coming up over it as your advice, this says it's a good idea to be open to the idea that your future has a lot more variety of possibilities than what you're seeing right now. And maybe paying something off allows for that variety of possibilities. Okay. So what are you paying off? Are you paying off your bankruptcy proceeding? Are you paying off some kind of big bill so it doesn't go against your credit? What are you actually paying off? That's going to be different for different ones of you. All right. But this is paying something off, paying something back, making something even. With the Knight of Wands, this can be traveling a whole bunch of different places. This is really scattered energy. This is putting your focus in a lot of different places. So this could be you being kind of a nomad or a gypsy, and being open to the idea that the future may include a whole lot more experiences than what you have in mind right now. That you may be opening the door for that. Okay? Maybe you're paying off a van and you're going to move into van life. I don't know. It's kind of hard to imagine a Virgo in van life unless you've just got a little bit of Virgo in your chart and you have a lot of fire. Maybe that's what's going on. But either way, this talks about being open to a future that has much wider horizons than what you're open to right now. Okay. So I hope that helps you. That maybe I do kind of feel like all of that's tied together, especially on the financial part. I feel like there's also some relationship that's overlapping in there as well for most of you. But I do think we kind of did a deep dive there. It's almost like we're kind of gradually going from, okay, I'm in a sad situation, but I can turn it around. And this is like, I can make some adjustments and I can still find some joy if I make those adjustments by the time we get to the end of the spread. So I can't say that I see this as being a particularly easy time for you, Virgo, but I do see a happy ending with this. This is at least a happy ending to this 28-day cycle. And it looks to me like whatever you're doing here, paying this off, is sort of fighting for your future. But your future is going to have wider horizons than what you think of right now. And I think that's going to be joyful. That actually feels pretty joyful to me, the idea that there's more to your future than what you're thinking right now. So I am kind of happy with how this, actually, I am happy with how this ends once we get all the way through to the end. But it is a little bit of a plod to get there. Sometimes life is like that. But attitude is the name of the game. You get through this faster if you can keep a good attitude. So focus on the happy as much as you can. Focus on the gratitude as much as you can. That's what gets you out to this other side much more quickly than what I'm seeing on the table. And we want to do this quicker, right? Everybody wants to get to the good stuff faster. Thank you guys very much for being here with me today. If you would like to get a personal reading, you can check out my web address right there. That'll tell you all about personal readings. It'll also tell you about any Reiki, or if you need a house cleansing or anything else that I do. Mentoring, I've got a couple classes going, all that good stuff. Yeah, and if I don't see you between now and then for some kind of service, then I'll see you guys back on the next video. Everyone have a fantastic 28 days or so, and I'll see you on the next live probably.